What's up everybody, Rob here from Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to share a little bit of the art process from my last fan art piece, which is Thanos versus the Avengers. So obviously an excitement for the new movie that just came out a little while ago. Not new now, it's been out a little while. I had to do a fan art piece, and I'll be honest, the reason why this didn't come out previous to the movie or during or right by is because I kind of shy away from group shots. They just kind of confuse me, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about a little bit in this video, and also maybe how to combat that. But so essentially with this, I'm going to show you me roughing through the work, and you see the idea changed quite a bit in the very preliminary stages of it, and I ultimately settle on this concept, still kind of working out what I want to see in the background. Now keep in mind too, I did start this before seeing the movie, and then after seeing the movie it gave me a couple more ideas, but I didn't necessarily want to redraw it because I was kind of set on this initial concept. Now that's another thing I want to point out with this type of work. The reason why I think it confuses me is because there's so many different elements, and one of the things was, since they revamped the characters so much, there was different suit designs than I was normally used to drawing, so a lot of information goes into these group shots. Here you see I take a break and draw on a separate layer to get Spidey's emblem, which I still managed to get wrong. Imagine that. But I'm not used to drawing that way. And right there was a quick little hint of Silver Surfer. I almost threw him in because I was kind of mad he wasn't in the movie. But whatever, that's just me being a fanboy, I guess. So yeah, so when drawing these complex scenes, and there's so much going on, and I'm also working off an iPad Pro, which is a little bit smaller device, so I think that factors in just a little bit. But I'm not going to make excuses, because really you have to learn to draw small. It's actually just a must. The better you get, the more you want to figure out how to condense more information into that panel, that page, and when to simplify. So I don't think I did enough simplification in certain areas of this. And we're going to, at the end of this, I'm going to actually try to critique myself, because I think that's a very integral part to getting better and to growing as an artist. One of the things I noticed after sharing the finished piece here, it did okay, and people were like, yeah, that's all right, that's nice, that's cool, whatever. You get your hardcore fans that are always like, great job, they seem to love everything you do. But then there's certain pieces that do really well. Like I just did a Venom one, I shared it, it went like crazy, everybody loved it. And then I did this one, and it was like, yeah, pretty cool. So one of the things that I try to do is look at that after the fact and go, okay, what did I miss here? Well, how did I miss the mark? Was it certain elements like the characters not looking like they're really laying on top of each other? Were their heads too big? I always get that comment, like, you made the head too big, because generally I draw my characters with bigger heads, and the smaller you make the head, the bigger the proportions look of the character. So I do make that mistake. So, but it's me looking at myself in retrospect and making those discernments and saying, okay, how do I come at it the next time and do better and better and better? Because I always say I don't focus on making each piece the very best. I mean, I want to, I try, but I let that happen organically through the process, of creating new work. I don't hold myself accountable to every piece being my best piece, because I think it'll just slow you down and ultimately make you worry too much about what you're doing. So I try a lot of different things here. I do a lot of rough sketching as I'm trying to figure out things like texture and alignment and overlapping shapes. And I tried to probably get a little bit too much into this one, and maybe that's why it became a little bit convoluted and a little bit hard to read. And then I start to play around with darkening the pencils, and you'll see here shortly I even take it another level of cleaning up the pencils, which you really don't have to do. Like at this stage you could probably just start inking. Okay, so now at this stage I bring it back in, and the reason why I say bring it back in, I actually duplicated this file inside of Procreate, and I upped the resolution. So to do that in Procreate, at least with the current version I'm using and how I know to use it, is you have to create a new document and then resave the artwork into the new document, in which case I had to scale it up. So originally I started with a document size that was half of what this finished at. So I finished at 48 by 6000, so 4800 by 6000 pixels, but I started obviously with 2400 by 3000 pixels. Now, generally that's a pretty good sized document, and I can work in a fair amount of detail. Like the Venom piece I just did, that was at the 24 by 3000. But that's one big character with a background. Okay, so what happened here is I noticed that as I needed to detail, say, the face of the girls, which are smaller in the corners there, or Iron Man's suit or whatever, I started to realize that the pixel data wasn't really adequate, and that's why I had to jump up to a larger size. Now that's me being a little bit too refined, because again, I could have already taken this to inks, but some of the pieces I do, I like to incorporate a little bit more detail and a little bit more refinement. It's just the way I am, whatever. So I really need to force myself out of that habit though, because again, you know, there's time constraints when doing comics and you want to really knock this stuff out. And the quicker you can like kind of see into the work and go, okay, I know where I'm going with this, let's jump into inks, the more productive you're going to become, the better you're going to get to completing books on a deadline, which is very important. Now, obviously, I don't test myself in that regard as much as I need to, because I do a lot of YouTube videos and online course creation and sharing fan art. So I kind of just, you know, go at my own speed. But again, that's kind of a bad habit to get into. And what made me realize that with this one was it being a group shot, you really start to understand that, okay, I got to simplify in areas, because, you know, you notice I didn't get every character. Had I got every character from the movie, who knows how long this would have taken me. So I had to just pick ones that I wanted to see in this shot. But that's one of those things where speed is such a factor, because, you know, if you get a shot and somebody's like, look, we need this lineup of 20, 30 characters, like you'll see, you know, people like Jim Lee or David Finch do it, and it's just amazing. They get, you know, you just know who everybody is. It's spot on. It works. But they know right where to add the shadows, right where to add the detail, and they're not fighting themselves with bad composition, which is pretty much what I did here. Now, I want you guys to critique me on this, and like I said, I'm going to do a little part after this where I critique myself. But go ahead, don't feel bad, don't think that you're going to hurt my feelings. If critique is offered in a constructive and, you know, not delicate, but it just said in a nice way where you can tell it's being constructively added, I'm always good for that, because that is the only way we get better. We can't sit there and go, well, they don't know what they're talking about, they're not a great artist, so what do they know? Everybody is a viewer, everybody's a fan, and your best critiques are probably going to come from people that really don't draw. And the more you start to realize that, and the more that you can look into what they're saying and pull the good from it, it's just going to benefit you. So don't let your ego get in the way, and just focus on getting better. So with that, let's move on to the next part, and I will critique myself. Okay, so now for me to critique myself, which is pretty hard because I generally think I'm pretty awesome. Anyways, alright, so things that I downright just see flaws with now. You know, it's so weird, because as I draw these things, I get into them and I'm like all excited. I'm like, yeah, this is looking so cool, everybody's gonna love it. And then I'm like, I get done, I'm like, yeah, it looks like a 5-year-old drew it. I don't know. I beat myself up after the fact, which maybe I should be beating myself up during the drawing process. But yeah, so basically, like, one of the things that just sticks out like a sore thumb now, and I'm gonna fix it. I'm already inking this, and you'll see this next if you so choose. But like, she's floating here. I don't know why I did that. I think I was gonna draw another character, or I think I'm gonna finish it out with like a rock coming through here, like some kind of stone thing. You know, like you see I got stone behind Thor there, behind Gamora. So yeah, I'm gonna probably throw in some kind of, you know, rock formation here to fix that. Or I think I was gonna originally bring Hulk's abdomen out this way more, so it looked more like she was laying on his waist. But yeah, that kind of skewed, and she looked like she was floating, and I didn't realize until I was tightening up the work and strange things. But also, I got the suit wrong here. Somebody actually pointed this out to me, and I didn't even see it. I'm not used to drawing this particular suit, but you can see the way I did the emblem, it should have actually came over the shoulder here. I think this side should be up higher. So yeah, I messed that right up. So I'll fix that when I ink as well. Some of these are just pretty easy to fix as you go anyways. Hulk's head could be smaller, you know, it's like every time you, and people have pointed this out, I do tend to draw my characters with larger heads. I don't know, maybe I think large heads mean strength, but basically you can make the character look a lot bigger by giving him a tiny little head. And he looks like he's not as smart, obviously, because, you know, he's got a little head. But, so right there, you know, that probably looks even a little better. So I'm going to make little changes like this. Another thing that I see as a flaw is that based on the proportions of it, or perspective, I should say, not proportions, proportions too, but if you were to draw your perspective line back, like here's your horizon, let me just draw over top of this. Gotta love digital where I'm not worried about messing up my artwork. Okay, like this. And as I start to do the perspective back or whatever, and I guess that horizon line could even be a touch higher. I'm just drawing it where the edge of the ground is there. But you can see that if I do that and I start to think prospectively going back to whatever vanishing point I'm kind of imagining, obviously there's not a whole lot of techie stuff where I need to worry about a particular vanishing point, but actually you still do though. You still need it there even though you're not utilizing it for, say, buildings or cars or something. So you can see that Thor is like the wrong size and in the wrong position for his size. So basically if you were to compare him to Iron Man's size, and you know the vanishing point's coming up like this, and then you go across to kind of figure out how tall he should be larger if he's this close, or he should be way back here to be that small, is what I'm getting at. So there's a flaw there, and I know why I did that, because I drew this little, you know, smoke effect that I like so much, and then I added him after. I should have. A big part of doing these complex scenes, I think, is that you really need to draw through everything. It's like goes right back to the how to draw the Marvel way they talk about this. Instead of drawing the Hulk here and stopping here and then adding an abdomen down here, which is exactly what I did, which is exactly the wrong way, you have to just draw through, especially with digital. It doesn't matter, you know, so you have to draw through, check the work, and, you know, and then make your adjustments. Draw every character right through, then erase back or use a different layer or whatever. But it's very important that you draw through, and I did make that mistake in a couple areas, which I think that shows through as well. Past that, I would say the last thing I'm going to negatively critique about the work, because I'm going to use your critique to hopefully fix it as I'm making, but you know, you guys chime in and let me know what you see and what I'm missing here. Otherwise, I think it's just there's too much everywhere, so it's convoluted or it's hard to read. It's just a little bit too busy. And I didn't really spot the blacks as well as I should have. Like I kind of like the shadows in Thanos, but I should have did a little bit better job everywhere else. You know, like these bigger, bulkier shadows can really push certain elements out, and then also it can also really make them look like they're together. Like for instance, there should probably be all this in shadow and a big shadow connecting him and Black Widow there. And so there should be a lot better use of the shapes of shadows is what I'm getting at. So that's it. That's enough of me tearing myself apart. Hopefully you liked the work anyways, but you know, could it be a 7 and it could have been an 8 out of 10? Whatever, you know, it's like I'm always trying to push it to that next level. So I have to look at each piece in retrospect and go, how can I get better? What can I do next time to make sure that this piece is the best that it can be? But again, don't beat yourself up too much. Just try to improve through the production of creating new art overall. Just don't slow down, don't stop, just keep going. So I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.